Well, that's going to be the screenshot. That's going to be the thumbnail. Welcome to the Get Offset podcast. My name is Emily.
And my name is Andrew.
And we are coming at you from a drearier than it has been previously Seattle, Washington. Is it dreary where you are?
It's starting to undreary, but I don't know what the verdict is on this yet. I just looking out the window, and Melissa pointed out the light coming in was a little orange. Like, no. Is fire season starting to hit? Don't tell me that. So we'll see as the day opens up a little bit, and after this, I'm going to step outside and give it the good old sniff test. I
think it's already fire season in a lot of Spokane and
it was August last year for us.
Yeah.
So.
I remember flying when I was flying to Summer.
August 1st.
I was flying to Summer NAMM over Yakima. I started seeing the smoke, and I was like, "Ooh boy!"
Yep.
All it takes is a shift in the weather. But it rained a little yesterday, so wouldn't it be some shit for it to be like have just been beautiful, 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 beautiful for days and weeks, and then have one day of rain and then the smoke to come like immediately after.
It wasn't even rain. It was a non-traceable amount of rain. It sprinkled just a little bit. It's like the clouds sweat just a smidge.
It was cloudy. It cooled things off. It got a little warm on Friday.
Friday was hot. That was ridiculous. But then
I think it's fair to say that it was hot, yeah.
Yeah. It was like 96 in my neighborhood, I think.
Yeah, my mom was in town. I think she was glad that it was most of her stay. It kind of topped out in the low 70s. So.
Yep. No, yesterday was nice though. I went out and played some disc golf with Zach Hale.
Oh yeah, that guy.
So it was good. We got sprinkled on just a smidge. It was just enough to keep us cool.
Yeah. A friend of the show is going to be in town soon.
Indeed. Setting up lunch plans already, so it'll be exciting.
I'm setting up plans as well. Yes, we were talking about a pick guard.
Ooh. But
I failed to order the material in time, though. Frankly, I don't know if the material would have come in time, but I don't know if you remember that little tenor guitar I picked up like a few months ago that I've never really shown off or demoed. I might, maybe I'll pull that guy out and film it today and talk about it some, because the weird guitars have been doing pretty well for me on the YouTube.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I don't know if I remember. It's
a tenor guitar, Telly style. It looks a little bit like the Prince Mad Cat. So I wanted to get a similar style pickguard put on it.
Like that leopard print kind of, not leopard print, but the...
Yeah, it's just like a celluloid.
Sort of. Yep.
So you can get those in from China, but it takes about a month to get them. So what we had talked about is he's going to come up, he's going to do some measurements on like a card stock, and then he's going to make it in his workshop. I also he's going to make, I think we're going to try a mint pick guard for the GNL with the B bender, the Purple Lightning Fever Dream.
Yep.
Cloud Sex guitar. I don't know what the nickname for that guitar should be. I think I call it I've been calling it the Cloud Titty guitar. I think that 6 Cycle Hum.
Oh no.
Sorry guys.
Oh no.
6 Cycle Hum called it the Cloud Sex guitar. I was going for Cloud. I hit that little Cloud a little fast. That happens.
Sorry, now I'm just thinking about pillows. Anyways, move on.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. And giving and giving. So, yeah. But now it's not going to have that paint job, so it's going to... I think it'll just be like the GNL with the beat bender. Though, in all seriousness, I wish GNL headstocks didn't look like that.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. I think they're objectively...
I think they're pretty categorically, not good looking.
Not the worst in the industry, though.
No. They're not the worst.
Who would you pick as the worst? I'm curious.
Oh, I don't like the Diamond headstocks. The really kind of ornate scrolly one.
Yeah.
I think they look a little too rococo, and they look fragile.
Fair.
What about you? What's your least favorite headstock?
Easily Veritas.
I always forget what theirs look like.
They've got like that medallion inlay on the end, and it just looks tacky.
My Tunatone has a medallion inlay, and I like it.
But not in the same way, though. I don't know. There's something about it that just rubs me entire. Yeah.
It has so many curves, the Veritas headstock.
It looks so... It detracts from everything else about those. And they already look like... Well, I don't want to slander anyone's preferences, but not for me.
The 6-in-line one is what I'm assuming you're talking about.
Yep.
They don't have a lot of close-ups on the headstock where you can really see the curves. Maybe this is not a unique perspective. Oh, it looks like they were trying very close to get to a Fender shape, but I feel like you should just go a little farther from the Fender shape.
Well, anyhow, I don't think anyone's going to confuse that with a Fender. So, because I like Fender headstocks.
I want to look at the glary headstock out of curiosity.
So anyways, what's new with you?
You know, I did have an answer for this. I don't have any new gear per se. I am getting a guitar in as early as Thursday that I've ordered from Sweetwater that I'm excited about. I bought it. I suspected that I could have gotten one from Fender, but I wasn't sure. I just wanted it sooner, and I wanted a guarantee because last year I snoozed and I didn't get the baritone from the Paranormal series. So I wanted to make sure I got that baritone this year. So it's on its way.
Well, there you go. That's exciting.
It is. But the bigger new thing is mostly that I've shipped off the purple lightning bolt guitar to be refinished. I think it's so dumb to me that this seems to be like the most controversial thing I've ever done.
Well, I mean,
like the comments are so 50-50. It's like,
right. It's
either this is the ugliest guitar, please refinish that thing. Or how
it's an institution.
Dare you?
You're defacing an institution.
And the people who are mad I'm refinishing it, you had 3 years. You had 3 years to buy it as is and keep it in its pristine glory. Its glory hole glory. It is a weird... You had 3 years. It was on the floor for 3 years at one of the most trafficked guitar shops in one of the biggest guitar cities in the world, if not the biggest guitar city. Is there a bigger guitar city? Is there like a place that more people go to for the explicit purpose of buying a guitar than Nashville?
Here's my take on this. Welcome to capitalism. You paid for it. It's yours. And anyone who says otherwise, they're communist. And I think they should be prosecuted.
I'm not throwing it off a bridge for the children or anything. If I was throwing it off the bridge for children, I can imagine getting upset.
Right. Yeah. Well,
that was
congratulations.
A throwback. Thank you. I'm excited. It'll be, it's nitro, so it'll take a minute.
For sure.
Yeah. They just got a cure for a month or something. That's what I've been told.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. What's new with you though?
I, got a piece of gear that I haven't had since college.
Ooh. And it is?
A record player.
You got a turntable?
I did. Yeah. So I got hooked up yesterday and I listened to a couple records. I started off with a Police Greatest Hits record that I got from a random thrift shop in I forget the name of the town, but it was like up near like Lake Arrowhead area. It might have been Lake Arrowhead down in California, like up in the mountains. Yeah, so I got that, and I didn't even have a record player at that point in time, and so I bought it anyways. And then a couple stores later, we were at a military surplus store, and they had a record player like hooked into the sound system. Like, hey, Mister, can I test this record to make sure it works? And then we just the group, like me and my friend group, kind of just partied in the Army surplus store to the police. It was great.
Nice.
But so I started with that, and then listened to a Jim Croce record, and yeah, it's one of those like all is right with the world kind of feelings.
Yeah. Did you cry while listening to the Jim Croce record? Because I feel like that happens a lot when you listen to Jim Croce.
I almost did. I think if I only listened to the first side, if I'd listened to side 2, I think I would have gotten there.
Yeah, what was on side 2?
Well, on side 2 is Bad Leroy Brown.
Yeah.
So that's always a banger. I think that one's listed as second. But like the first side opens up with One Less Set of Footsteps. I'm like, that one's like that right in between, like you want to be like, yeah, stick it to the X, and also like, but I'm crying.
Yeah.
So good. So good. So I've got a stack. I'm going to slowly listen through and maybe read some books and kind of take the moment to heal a bit. Cool. So yeah, very excited about that.
Can I tell you the other thing that's new with me that I'm stupid excited about?
No.
Okay,
I'm just kidding. Please.
I bought one of those fish flipper spatulas finally.
Yeah.
And I've never made so many perfect omelets in a row. Like every omelet I've made since I got this fish spatula has been perfect. And I've just been so proud of myself. And I just wanted to share that with the world. I'm really glad I bought it.
I don't even know what you're talking about other than omelet.
Let me send you a link. Fish flipper spatula. It's just like a very thin kind of spatula.
Is it shaped kind of like that?
I'm messaging it to you in Discord.
Okay. Discord.
Support us on Patreon at the $5 level or above on Discord for Patreon for access to our special Discord server at patreon.com/getoffset.
Yeah, if you'd like to harass me endlessly and send me links to cutlery and other kitchen utensils, definitely support us on Patreon so you can get at me at Discord, because I've continually checked my messages less and less on Instagram and Facebook.
What's a flat whisk? I don't want a flat whisk. No,
I'm just sad. My favorite spatula that I got for $1 in college, and I've been using ever since. Finally started developing some rust spots on the bottom. I'm like, I should probably toss it.
You should treat yourself to one of these.
No,
it'll change your
I already
game.
have a secondary backup spatula that I'm starting to appreciate more.
You should, but these, they're game changers.
We'll see. What's new with me?
Listeners, convince Andrew to get a fish turner spatula. Slotted offset spatulas.
Oh, it's an offset spatula. You have my attention.
See, this is called Get Offset spatulas. It's on topic.
The other what's new with me, if we want to talk kitchen stuff, is I just got a mini fridge.
Good for you.
But it's one of those.
Is it going to be a drink fridge?
Yeah, it's one of those that's like specifically meant for wine cooler. So it's like
nice.
It's mini. It's like smaller than a mini fridge. It fits 8 bottles.
Awesome.
And there's not a single bottle of wine in there. It's all my aged beer stuff that
nice.
I haven't been storing properly, and I really hope I haven't ruined yet. So
good for you.
If I haven't ruined them yet, they're now being properly stored.
Excellent.
So one of those nice Facebook Marketplace finds. Melissa sending me like, hey, didn't you say you wanted one of these? This is a good deal. Like, let's go.
When I was in Nashville, I wanted to sell my old college mini fridge just because I wasn't using it. I didn't really have space.
Yep.
And my dad said that he's like, I think we bought it for $100. I'm like, I think I can sell it for $125. So I listed it on Craigslist and kind of had Rick manage it.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, I got an offer for $50. I'm like, tell him no. It was like a text offer. And then he's like, well, it's the only offer we have so far. I'm like, well, wait, I don't need to sell it that badly.
Yep.
A few weeks later, he gets an email offering full price. I'm like, awesome. See, I told you we should wait. And then the guy's like, I'll text you when we're on our way. And the guy who texts from the same number that offered us $50 a few weeks before.
Incredible.
Yeah. Or I think I listed it at 150 and I took 125. I think it was something like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
I flipped a mini fridge. Oh my god.
Hey, if you can flip it.
Yeah.
That
hey, with your offset slotted
offset.
spatula. Yeah. This week's episode of the Get Offset podcast is sponsored by Caroline Guitar Company, based out of South Carolina. Last week, someone replied to the comments and said their favorite Caroline pedal was the somersault, and I'd be inclined to agree. That is also my favorite pedal. It lives permanently on my Sunday Crush board. My favorite feature of that pedal is the switch that maxes out the rate and depth. I really love to play that one on Good Boy during the chorus because I have this part that goes da 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 da, and I like to do it on that long note. So it'll go da da burn da da burn. It's really fun, and everyone in the band likes it. I love the somersault. It sounds great on bass too, honestly.
Oh, I hadn't considered that.
Yes, great on bass.
That's a reminder. I need to get round wounds for my bass. I think I'm finally giving up on flats.
You should talk to Scott from Stringjoy.
I should.
Yeah.
I should. Yeah, no, I've definitely. No, I bought the bass that I've got right now, and it came with flats on it. No idea what. There's no like identifying feature. It's like labella with like the red on it. There's nothing like that, so I have no idea what they are. And the guy had no idea when I bought it from him, and it's a Squire, so I didn't expect too much. But yeah,
it's probably whatever they came with.
Well, this one I imagine would have come with round wounds. He said that he replaced the originals, but
he doesn't know what he replaced them with.
He had no idea. Yeah, I also think he was stoned out of his mind when I went to go pick it up. But yeah, no, I think I need to replace it, and I think I'm going to replace. He put a zero nut on it, and he didn't slot it very well, and so like the G string is like right up against the edge of the fretboard, so I can't even hardly play that. Like it comes back closer in as it reaches the bridge, but on
that's
frets
not what
like
you want.
Frets 1 through 5, it's like slipping off. It's ridiculous.
You don't want that.
No. Then again, I'm a mediocre bass player. What am I doing with a G string? So. It's all E and A.
I'm trying to think of. I'm supposed to play a bass gig on Saturday. I'll talk about why I'm supposed to play one on Saturday in a second. But I'm trying to think if I end up hitting the G string. I think I do. I think there's one song that has a run where I make it up there. Yeah. It's fun. Playing bass is fun. I prefer to play guitar still, but it's just kind of nice to show up and play bass and maybe chill a little farther back on the stage for this particular show. And
I think playing bass is a lot of fun. I can't knock it at all, and I'm not even sure I'd venture to say that I enjoy guitar more than playing bass. I think it's just different flavors.
Yeah, sure. I enjoy playing guitar more than playing bass. I will venture to say that. I've been doing it a lot longer, but they're fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I'm going to practice it a lot today. But I know we're only about 20 minutes in, but I feel like it's, unless there's something else you want to talk about before we get into the topic.
There's one other thing that I want to talk about that's completely not guitar related whatsoever.
Sure. Then let's go ahead and get into it.
I came to the realization that I'm not actually upset that McDonald's fries don't decompose. It's like every time I hear that talked about, it'd be like, oh, it's so disgusting they don't decompose.
When have we ever talked about this?
I don't think we have yet, but it was one of those those life moments where I realized it doesn't bother me at all. And the reason why it doesn't bother me is I spilled a drink in the backseat of my car. I went to go clean it out, and I realized as I found like 3 different McDonald's fries, if they decomposed, how disgusting would my car be? So it's my positive thought of the day. Anyways, back to guitars. I need more caffeine.
I don't think we were going to talk about guitars.
What? But this is a guitar podcast. What are we going to talk about?
Well, it's guitar adjacent. As a guitarist and a musician who plays live shows, it's on my mind. So, I was saying supposed to play because I'm supposed to play a show with a band called Jerf, and my bassist and Sunday Crush messaged me and they said, hey, is the Blue Moon's temporary closure affecting Jerf's show next Saturday? And I said, is there what?
Oh, no.
And 3 days ago, they had, in light of the pandemic continuing to spread despite a thumbs up from politicians, we will be closed today while waiting on a COVID test result from employees. For safety. Thank you for understanding. Wear your masks. Love, employee. And they haven't posted since, so I'm assuming those did not come back all hunky-dory.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so Delta's as contagious as a chicken pox.
That's what I've heard.
I've heard that for every one person that gets it, they give it to 8 people.
Oh.
That's a lot.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
That's a lot. To put it in perspective, I think it needs to be like 1 or 2 to be containable. This is bad. So, there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and what I understand is that at this point, with people being vaccinated and still getting sick, to truly understand what's happening, you need to have a pretty advanced understanding of statistics, virology, and disease, which I don't have. But right. It seems like obviously you can still get sick.
Yep.
I mean, this vaccine they've always said Pfizer and Moderna is like 93% effective against COVID. That's obviously already leaves about a 7% chance that you could still get it.
Right.
So the more people who don't get it that you will come into contact with makes it more likely that you could still get it. Like that makes sense in my brain, that if you're still bouncing around with other little, people who, if you're bouncing around with other people who don't have it, obviously you're not going to get it. If you're bouncing around with other people who do have it, maybe you will, maybe you won't. It's just a numbers game.
More of a crapshoot.
It's a little bit more of a crapshoot. And then you see things like people who get it, like something happened in Massachusetts where most people who got it were vaccinated, but you have to normalize that data because most of the people who were there were vaccinated already. So it's not really about like more likely to, it's just like if everybody is there is vaccinated, and then if everybody there is already vaccinated, well, it's just, if 99% of the people who are there are vaccinated, one person infects, 5 of them, I don't know. It's getting more complicated is what I'm saying. So businesses in Seattle are especially, I'm aware of businesses in Seattle that are trying to do this. I'm trying to get around to it, Andrew. I'm really sorry.
No, I'm listening.
Venues, especially after being closed for over 400 days, are losing their patience.
Yeah.
And they are not interested in closing again. And this whole honor system thing is really testing them. So they're like, fuck the honor system. A bunch of venues in Seattle are now requiring proof of vaccination to enter their venues.
Yep.
And Lollapalooza this weekend in Seattle and in Chicago did the same thing. They required the paper proof. You had to bring your actual vaccination card to the gate to get in. And then you had to, after the first day or so, if you were like, what the, oh God, look at this picture is wigging everybody out of everybody in the audience all up against each other. They're like, oh, and now you have to wear a mask indoors. So it's kind of a weird place to be because on one hand, I think it's a weird thing to make people do that to go to a concert. It's not like, it's odd. I knew that there was the possibility. We talked about this last year. I think last winter when vaccines were still in development, there was already talk about vaccine passports tied to your Ticketmaster account where you'd have to be vaccinated in order to attend a concert at a Ticketmaster venue. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And it seems like that's happening starting with a lot of smaller venues too.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I wonder if I can find that list.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, honestly. Not even going to beat around the bush. Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about hashtag my freedom, you're free to do that. There's just consequences to choices. I think that's where some people get mixed up on that is like if you want to talk about like free country, like the idea of freedom is really built around, at least in the US in particular, is built around the idea that you can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't infringe on the rights of other people. And the inalienable rights are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So I would dare say that transmitting a uncontained deadly disease would fall under that category. So of infringing that. So like, cool, don't get vaccinated. You don't, no one's going to force you to, but there are consequences that come with that. So I'm fine with that. People, the science is clear. I don't care if people want to have their own alternative facts or whatever.
I mean, I kind of care if people want to have their own alternative facts, but there's really nothing I can do about it.
No, I mean,
yeah.
Well, and for certain people, I don't think they're being necessarily malicious. Malicious people are easier to deal with because at least you understand.
They are.
There's more to it, and you can reason with it. And there's on the back end of like malicious intent, there's usually the follow up rallying cry of like, okay, but this isn't cool anymore, guys. And then there's just there's the ignorant, I don't care.
That's the one that like gets my goat, honestly.
Right, that's so much harder to deal with.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people because a lot of those people who think, oh, I would be fine, and the thing is, like, you don't know if you would be fine.
You can't reason with that, and so at a certain point, you just have to say, cool. Well, you guys do your own thing. I can't reason with you. We're gonna get nowhere arguing in circles, but. Yeah. Guess what? Actions have consequences. So we'll just leave it at that. You two decide what you want to do with that and have a nice day. And I think that's kind of where we're at as a society in terms of the way that this has progressed. And I think it's totally fine for music venues to kind of take it to the next logical step. I don't think they have a choice.
God, I feel like people only ever share things in stories now. It makes it impossible to find like posts later. Right. It's really annoying. Ugh. I'm trying to find just a list of venues. I remember Numos and Barboza. They were all on that list of venues requiring that. But yeah, I mean, people mistake freedom of choice for freedom from consequences a lot. That's the same with freedom of speech. Like you can't just say whatever you want to say and expect that there won't be any consequences from your speaking because there have to be. That is how
yelling
the world
fire
works.
In a crowded movie theater.
That actually is not protected.
That's the point.
At all. That's not even considered freedom of speech.
That's
Hate
the point.
Speech is not exactly like and then there are general limits, but even like, which is to say that there are limits to the speech from which you cannot be prosecuted. Like you can be prosecuted for lying about somebody. That's libel and slander. You can be prosecuted for inciting violence. You can be prosecuted for potentially hurting somebody that's yelling fire in a crowded theater. You can't be prosecuted for, though people try to do this all the time, it's like burning an American flag is considered free speech.
Sure.
You can't be arrested for saying ACAB, you know, as much as police officers would probably like to arrest you for saying that kind of thing. All kittens are beautiful. You can, like, there are, but then if you say that in front of a cop and then someone punches you in the face and the cop doesn't do their job, I mean, it still makes them a bad cop for not doing their job, but that's also like something that you should probably expect to happen.
Right.
Like, if you're mean to, if you're rude to a customer, like an employee, if your customer is rude to an employee at a restaurant and they refuse to serve you, that's not them infringing on your rights.
Right. If you yell at the waiter because they got your order wrong, they bring it back and it comes back with a loogie in the burger. Is that right? No, but should you expect it?
Well, that's assault, actually.
No, it's
assault.
phlegm, not salts. There's a.
Okay, that was pretty sharp, but that was all right. That was all right. I'm not going to complain about that one. But like, if you're wearing a company shirt and you go on and call someone racist things and you get fired for it, it's not illegal to say those racist things in a YouTube video. But your company might choose to not want to be represented publicly. If you're wearing their shirt, it's their prerogative to not be associated with that. So then you get fired. That's not an infringement on your free speech. It's probably you're probably had something in your contract that said you would not like tarnish your employer that way. Like there are limits. Like there are consequences to actions. And sometimes that consequence is going to be you can't be around people if you might kill them.
Right.
Do you know the story of Typhoid Mary, Andrew?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Have you heard of Typhoid Mary?
I've been told not to say that name 3 times in the mirror. Okay,
that's Bloody Mary, I think, but close enough. So typhoid was a very deadly illness, and there was this woman who worked in food prep, and she was an asymptomatic carrier of typhoid, and she would never get sick of it because, again, asymptomatic carrier. Those people existed.
Right.
Just like not everybody gets affected by mosquito or bed bug bites. Just like not everybody gets sick from COVID ever. They're
but you
asymptomatic
can still be a
carriers.
transmitter.
Exactly. You can still have bed bugs in your house, get bitten by them every night, and not show any signs of it. Asymptomatic carriers. So she worked in food prep, and this bitch refused to wash her hands. Hygiene was not a huge deal for her. So she would essentially spread typhoid through the homes of everywhere she worked, through these kitchens. They had to lock her up because she refused to stop working in food service. She refused to wash her hands. So she's like, it's my right to work. Yeah, it's your right to work. It's not your right to kill people because you refuse to wash your hands. Like, she will always have typhoid. She will always be a carrier of typhoid fever. And she will always kill people if she insists on preparing food without washing her hands. So they had to put her in prison. And that's, a very extreme and very famous case of somebody who just would not some people just can't be stopped because she didn't believe it. She didn't believe that she was making people sick because she never got sick. And sometimes these folk with COVID, it's taking them getting really sick to believe it. And that's really sad. I don't think it should. I don't want it to take that. I get no joy from that. And I don't. But that's like, it's it's just what we've been saying.
Right. Now, there's some nuance in all of this, though, because with the understanding that the Delta variant is still getting vaccinated people sick, of course, there's a little bit of that. So I don't want to pretend like I'm ignorant to that fact. And so I think it's probably not a bad idea to start moving to masks. It's a good idea to still be in preventative mode and not just like, well, we'll just let whatever happens mode. So prevention is always good. But to a certain point, I mean, everyone's been saying if the entire world is not vaccinated by a certain point, the realistic chances of a variant being mutated and coming up that bypasses the vaccines to some extent was kind of inevitable.
Hi.
So, I mean, now we're dealing with the Delta variant, and that's kind of changed the ballpark a little bit. I'm sure we'll have a United variant soon, and they just drag people off planes. But the idea is...
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say they just throw guitars off planes.
Oh, okay. That too.
You just went blurry. See, the camera didn't like that. No, and then it fixed, and then...
Okay. So, but I mean, the idea is like, this isn't going to be the first round that we're going to deal with. So we have to figure out what that looks like now. And I think if people are surprised, all I have to say is, surprise Pikachu face. I mean, what did we expect was going to happen? So, I mean, the freedom's been nice while we've had it for like the last, 3 weeks.
I mean, I was like, even I think it was at NAMM, I went to a show at the Basement East with a friend. I saw Hailstorm and I was looking around like, oh, this is maybe not the smartest thing I've ever done in my life. But I was looking, because I was vaccinated. I felt kind of safe. I was looking at Nashville's like infection numbers. They looked low. And then I thought at the same time, people come to Nashville and then they leave Nashville for other places.
Right. Well, but I don't know, the flip side of that, though, is like you're vaccinated. Like you might get sick. You're not really, I don't think the chances of you. Yeah, like much, much, much lower of actually dying, even if you do get sick. So if like
I don't want to get long COVID. I don't want to have those like long-term effects. Like they're gross and bad and
totally
scary.
No, absolutely. But there's certainly a degree of mitigation. So it's going to be a mess. And I think this is kind of just round one of dealing with what the future's got for us. And I don't know, that sounds depressing because it kind of is.
It is depressing because I know people, especially in the music industry, we were the first ones to shut down, and we're the last ones, basically are coming to be the last ones to reopen. And we might have that shortest window of reopening if we have to shut everything down again. And we don't want to have to do that. People are gearing up for tour again. I mean, that costs money to just even do the gearing up part, procuring things. I mean, these festivals that are happening, I don't know if they were definitely not able to get like pandemic insurance because it's already a known pandemic. So you're not able to get pandemic insurance for something that's known typically.
Right. It's like how you can't get hurricane insurance in certain parts of the Gulf of Mexico. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if it's like, that's going to happen. Like it's, sometimes you can get it, but it's just so expensive that it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I think it's probably going to be very risky to have these festivals. I think they're just really trying to like get these festivals like going, get their money before September, and then hope that they can have them again in the spring. Just like, I don't think any of these like indoor kind of wintry things, I think those are a bit of a toss up right now. I think fall tours are a bit of a toss up. I hope Sunday Crush gets a couple of gigs in. I hope this Saturday gig happens safely. If it can happen safely, I hope it happens. If it can't happen safely, I don't.
Right.
We have other gigs lined up. It's just, this would have been a nice one to happen, but like safety is paramount. Obviously we've worked really hard the past couple months to getting ready for this show, and it would be a huge slap in the face for it not to happen because, that would be sad. But again, we have other opportunities lined up, bigger, better things. I really miss it. I miss playing live music. I haven't played a gig in front of people in like a band in a long time. I did one little outdoor song thing last summer, and that felt like a mistake from the moment I got there. That was a mistake. Oh my God. That was a mistake.
I think the question naturally becomes then, so as a listener, you want to support live music. How can you best do that? And I think the natural conclusions are, number one, top priority, get vaccinated. If you want to support the music industry, get your vaccine. There's a direct like causation effect between the number of vaccinated people and the effects it has on the music industry. Bit of a cascade, but there is a very direct, demonstrable relationship there. So
get vaccinated. Probably at the show, I'll probably wear a mask.
Yeah,
I'll probably mask up for the show. I'll wear a cute little mask, and maybe I can. Maybe I have time to order a cute one with some fringes or something. You know, I have a week.
Yeah. I gotta say, it's been nice not having to wear my mask. Very nice. Being able to work out at the gym without a mask or run to the grocery store real quick. Like, it's been nice. It's felt good seeing people.
I still wear them at the grocery stores. It's nice to go to a restaurant and not have to do the whole like tango, like, oh, the server's coming, I better get that on really quickly.
Yeah. So it's been nice, but is it worth it? Nah. So I should probably start going back to that practice.
Well, I think that now the QFC that I go to, they've put back the you have to wear your mask sign, but there are people in there without a mask. Though I saw a woman there with a mask around her chin, and then she had a button that said, "Jesus is my vaccine." I was like, all right. Oh, no, that's not how Jesus works. People always ask me, like, oh, it must be just all liberals up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm like, no. Nope. It's like where I grew up wasn't just conservatives. Like, it was 90%, but I lived there and I still came out with the mentality with which I came out. Like, yeah, people, believe what they believe regardless of where they live.
Right. And
I'm wearing my Protect Live Music shirt, by the way.
Oh, there you go. Well, the ideological minorities tend to be a little bit quieter about that sort of thing in any community. So
I was not quiet. Imagine me quiet. Some would like to.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be
I did that loud sip on purpose.
Yeah, it was a good loud sip. Things are going to be touch and go for a while. I think we just need to we need to take a deep breath, remind ourselves that this is not over. We had a nice little break, but it's not over. We're going to be dealing with this stuff realistically for like a decade. It's just going to be kind of in and out in varying stages of like, oh, we're better now, to like, well, the Tango variant's kind of looking rough this year.
I mean, I think it'll be like an annual flu shot. I don't think it's ever going away. And that makes me sad because I think that we've always been 3 weeks away from killing it. We just needed to not go anywhere for 3 weeks.
This was just the U.S. I think what a lot of Americans are forgetting is that the rest of the world isn't there yet because the U.S. bought all the vaccines.
No, we were always 3 weeks. We were always, if everyone just didn't move for 3 weeks. Stay put for 3 weeks.
Right.
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Oh, that's asking too much. That's not going to happen.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Vacation, all I ever wanted.
No, the rest of the world is still hasn't even had huge portions of the world haven't had a chance to get their first vaccine yet. So
meanwhile, 80,000 doses are about. Oh God, this is a guitar podcast.
It makes a difference worldwide. We're just.
It does.
This episode is literally talking about first world problems at this point in context of the rest of the world. New
Zealand's had live music for a year.
Right. Well, I mean, New Zealand was also like the hardest island to infect whenever we'd play what was it? Pandemic, I think was the name of the game. We all play on our phones. And it was a fun game. Now it's less fun.
I'm sure it was fun. I'm sure now it's just like, God, it's too real.
It's fun until it's real. Like, oh man, this is, whew.
Yeah, seriously.
But sure, they're a small little island that doesn't necessarily have the tourism lobbyists that Hawaii does. So they get out a little bit more scotch-free.
They have a lot of tourism, dude. Are you serious? Especially after Lord of the Rings?
No, I'm not saying that they don't have any. I'm just saying that the amount of control that they have over their borders as compared to Hawaii and the lobbyists that are pushing so hard to get some tourism money back into Hawaii that they're asking local residents to ration their own water so the hotels can use as much as they want. Yikes.
Yeah, something about mainland America has just never really given a hoot about the people who actually live in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Hawaii.
So anyways, that my point there being it's different there, but I mean, America's not the only country that has had live music historically. And so when you talk about some of the venues in Brazil and there's other parts of the world where they're still dealing with this.
Australia had a bunch of live shows. Asia had a bunch of live shows.
It's
Asia
music.
was really
it's universal. Everybody in the world listens to music. There's live venues in pretty much every country.
Well, yeah, obviously. But just like throughout the pandemic, there have been different regions of the world that were able to control the pandemic better at different points in time, that were able to revisit and restart live music at different times. And they basically all, but I think New Zealand then had to like squish it. That's been a pretty consistent thing, is that once you reopen, you have to then compress it again. Because, that's what happens. Guess what happens when you put people back in a little box together?
Yep.
They're breathing the same air, and that's how COVID spreads. And it's depressing. And, it's not bringing me joy. There are things I want to do. Yeah. I'm glad I got, I'm glad I've had the experiences I've had while, we've been reopened. And I hope that these rules aren't, I hope they're meaningful. I hope they do help. I hope that, requiring proof of vaccination in the venues does help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope it makes a difference.
Make a dent.
Yeah, and I think that's all we want, because it really has always been about flattening the curve, not understanding that it was the unlikelihood of just eliminating it is, it's not an attainable goal, probably, unfortunately, but just making sure that the sickness that people do get is not as severe, that the cases are low and manageable and their hospital beds. That's what we want, because I do just want people to understand that when we talk about this, you and I, it doesn't come from like, I want people to get vaccinated just so that I can play live music and I can see live shows. Like, no, I don't want people to die. That's the big thing. I don't want people to die unnecessarily. That's where it comes from. There is, of course, the frustration of, this is the thing I love to do. This is part of my livelihood. This is a lot of people's main sources of income.
Sure.
Like not just performers. There are a lot of people, from accountants to front of house engineers, to touring managers, to people who just make the merch that people sell on tour. That it's a lot harder to move from a web store for some reason. Like, there are a lot of people whose livelihoods rely on live touring, and try as we did in the pandemic, and though, there was some success, I don't think it was apples for apples,
Right. Well, we'll figure it out as we go. I'm not all doom and gloom about it. I think we're going to be just fine. I think it's just going to be a little bit of touch and go, and just got to be a little flexible, give some grace to music venues who are literally just trying to survive. Can anyone blame them? I can't. So Let them do their thing. If you don't like it, don't give your money to another business. I think it's...
I want the venues to survive. I mean...
It would be preferable.
One of the best things about Seattle, and one of the things that makes its music scene so lively, is that it has such a wide range of venues. It has lots of small clubs that bands can come up in, and then slowly grow, and then big clubs and venues and stadiums. It just is a really diverse ecosystem in that regard, in terms of clubs that accommodate specific genres to more diverse genres to
Right.
different sizes, different areas. I really don't want Seattle to lose that.
Totally. There's absolutely a chance of significant impact from all of this. And
Yeah.
and if there wasn't, I don't know. I know that you're like, I don't want people to die. And part of me is like, I don't know. Let Darwin do what Darwin does. If it's on an individual level and you're really going to make that choice, actions have consequences. Congratulations. You just won the Darwin Award. There's part of me that wants to be like, that's fine. But because it's got effects outside of individual people on a very large scale
it's not just people who chose to not get the vaccine.
Exactly.
It's people who can't
point.
get it. And that's the problem. That's the bigger problem. But, it's a lot of people who get, I have less sympathy for like the radio DJ guys who are, who got COVID, and I have a lot less sympathy for them because they were spewing it. I have a lot more sympathy for the people who are just, led astray. They trusted politicians, and they trusted, not that they should have, they trusted people who weren't scientists. And that, and that was, a fatal mistake. And I don't think that's how people should die. And 600,000 people already did.
Right.
And it wasn't just the people who were stupid or in charge. A lot of it was the people who couldn't afford to not work. I think like one of the most dangerous jobs outside of the healthcare field was line cooks. So another thing, people was like, nobody wants to work at McDonald's anymore as a line cook. I'm like, well, a lot of them died.
Yeah.
600. We're just like ignoring the fact that 600,000 people died in this discussion about like labor shortages, which is kind of amazing. I know it was a lot of like older people, but it was a lot of younger people too. It's a lot of the workforce that just kind of disappeared. Yeah, it was dark. I know. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I started with going out on a limb with the Darwin thing. That's certainly coming from a place of frustration on my end. Of course, I'm not that heartless, but there's that part of me that's like, screw it. That's fine. You do your thing. I'm done arguing. So
yeah, I mean, I don't argue with people about it. Like one-on-one, I'm not going to. Me and a family member blocked me on Facebook about, I'm positive she's not getting a vaccine. I'm shocked that she blocked me. That was unexpected. Amazing.
Well,
yeah. Well, I think we might want to call this one before it gets darker. Just know that you might want to call places you're going and ask if you're going to need to show proof of vaccination before you go.
Should I laminate my card?
No, you're not supposed to laminate them. You can make a copy and you can laminate that, but you're not supposed to laminate the original one because you may have to have a booster added to it. Apparently there are apps, but also you can just take a picture on your phone in some cases. Mine's on my fridge, my card. Are you looking at yours right now?
It's mine.
Yeah, the resolution's still not good enough to have read that, but...
Well,
mine's on my fridge.
Can never be too safe. I'm not posting pictures of it.
Understandable. A lot of people
I don't want people to know that I was born in 1994. Such a baby.
1995. Well, they'll never know now, Andrew.
Right.
Now they'll never know that you were born in 1995. Is far before or after 5?
Oh, music-related note. Wiggles.
Oh, yes. We are only $10 away from our Patreon goal of $150 a month. I would have Andrew do some Wiggles cover in some metal-y genre.
There will be screaming. There will be distortion. There will be some fun. I was actually just hanging out with a buddy of mine last night, and he at one point in time in a former life was a producer. And I was like, hey, do you want to tell you what? If I give you beer, we hang out for an afternoon, could we just like crank this out and have some fun with it? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And he did like some indie production.
Nice.
And he's like, but he's like, here's the thing. Metal's the most fun to do because it's just so wild. There's no, So he's excited for it. I'm excited for it. I think we're shooting for it in a couple of weeks, but
Nice.
I've got it lined up. We'll sit down. He knows more than I do about some of the finer things in life.
Awesome.
So I'll scream
We're
into
so
a microphone.
close.
It'll be, but
So close.
I won't be releasing it until we hit the goal. I'm just preemptively getting ahead of it because
We should
procrastinate. I would never.
We're so close, though.
We are so close.
We are currently at $140 a month, and we need to get to $150 a month.
I think we can do it.
I think we can do it.
Well, alrighty.
Okay, well, yes. So, again, patreon.com/getoffset. We have merch at getoffsetpodcast.com/shop. Please rate, review, subscribe on iTunes, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this, thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening.
If you're just listening. And thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily.
And my name is Andrew.
Goodbye.
Bye.